talk to my boss.
Correct.
So let's do certain things like that, like you can highlight that one about the revenue,
1 minute to 6, I don't know if it's.
Okay.
so. What is this?
Those are my questions.
No question.
Here. This is for you.
I have a few seconds.
Oh, I am called
there, wow.
We're at the same time. I'm gonna slide off this chair.
I could've shared. No, we should.
Of course.
Sign it if you could, whoever.
Thank you.
We're not talking about capital at all?
Hi, how are you?
You can bring it up at the end that we're,
Then we working on the, you want
you know, fine, yeah.
You want the pen book?
All right, we're ready to go, guys. We got live stream, so we're good to go. All right, for the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, this is for the police today. We have our two members here, Elijah and Carmichael, so we're good to go. Open forum, we have anybody for open forum? Nobody, hearing none, I will close open forum. All right, on to the key budget areas for the police department. We have Commander Fellows and Zarbach here today, and they will be discussing this year's budget, or 2026 budget. Men?
Thank you. I guess if we begin with the revenue side of things, some of the key changes that, at least that we've been trying to work on, is in our reimbursement side of things, which does come across. We do have a couple of officers that, we have three SROs that work at Warren High School. A large amount of their salary is reimbursed to us. That's why we're able to see a rather significant increase in that revenue stream, along with, we are in talks too. We obviously, from most of us, do know that the red light cameras at Cermak and Harlem have been down for well over a year now. And we are hopes to get that one back up, but we also are in talks with the vendors, and I think we're very close. At least, I don't wanna say anything that's incorrect, but I believe we do have permits for Ogden and Harlem. We're just now waiting on the contractors, which they're hoping in the next few months we will potentially have red light cameras at Ogden and Harlem. And then Cermak and Harlem, when they officially complete that intersection, we can then try to get permits back for Cermak and Harlem. Obviously, over the last few years as well, if you take a look, our grant revenues have also slowly increased. We've been getting some very nice grant revenue in from our body cameras to this year we were able to get, and we'll obviously try next year with recruitment and retention grant, which was well over almost $200,000. So in regards to expenditures, we really had just a few small increases through from 25 into 2026. Some of the bigger expenditures, which kind of boils down to our software, which is our body cameras and the technology to run the department, that has stayed relatively consistent. It is budgeted right now at right at about $850,000, which is on track with what it was last year. Those line items specifically, Commander Domino and I, Commander Domino's been taking more of a lead approach with our budget for 2026 with some of the changes that is happening at the police department. So one of the main focuses that we're doing, not only with that line item specifically, but all of them, is really taking a look at what we have been spending and trying to streamline and potentially reduce some of our expenditures as well. So that's one of the larger ones. Obviously, a lot of people do also talk about our overtime. Our overtime has not increased as well. That we did, some of the overtime line items are different, but what we did is take the total amount of overtime that was budgeted for the last few years and just move it around so it's a little more true and accurate to which department is utilizing that overtime.
How is our staffing Are we fully staffed or we
So,
short?
what we did do is we had that anticipatory hiring, side item with our police union, which allotted us the opportunity to hire up to 5 additional officers with some anticipation when officers were leaving. However, that was at times really increasing our officers to well over 120. So in our talks, what we did with trying to reduce things with how things are looking, we agreed to go down and just back to 118 as our total number.
118,
So-
and that's where we're at now.
Correct.
Okay.
So for this year, budget year 25, we budgeted for 121. Budget year 26, we're down to 118.
118,
And that's technically where we are sitting at now, even with that new hire that we had last night on
Okay.
council. That made us 118.
Fully staffed as.
Fully staffed, I'd say, okay.
Correct. Really, if you take a look at what's here, I really don't really want to do line by line unless you, that's, you know, because again, there's only a couple small increases. The only salary increase is just the contractual, which are, all the CBAs in the police department was 3% across the board, from the SEIU to the IMPA, both for our dispatchers and for our officers.
Where's that
So-
line item, sir?
That's just the salary increases.
Oh, okay.
The salary increase is just the 118 for the officers.
Okay.
We have no new asks or no new jobs built in there. All the salaries there is for staff that we currently had.
So no new hires?
No new hires.
Okay.
Okay, it's the staff that we currently had, and the only increase to the salary is just the 3% across the board contractually through the unions. But pretty much tuition, we've seen a little bit of an increase with officers going back to school. Most of our officers now are coming in with degrees, so we did reduce tuition reimbursement, but building, the vehicle, the other larger line items, just some small increases to, like I said, but very close to what they were.
And that's tuition reimbursement in which area?
Tuition reimbursement last year for 25 was just, I believe it was at about, it's at
You know what line
40,000.
item?
No, which
Oh, I'm
one,
sorry,
like, is
five-
it under administration or specialty where you are?
Tuition reimbursement is actually line, is the first one underneath expenditures, right below the reimbursements. So tuition reimbursement for 25 was at 48, we're down to 21 for
Okay,
70.
I just wanna make sure so that everybody will be in line of where you are. So here, he's right on.
You know what line item that is, Mike?
504.
I'm sorry, I'm
504?
40.
On page 2. On page
50,
2.
40,
50,
here,
40, okay.
tuition
I'm sorry.
reimbursement is 50, 40, page 2 at the top.
Okay.
Page 2.
Oh, gotcha,
Page
yeah.
2.
I'm bouncing around, my apologies.
That's fine, that's why I wanted to just ask you which
Okay.
one was.
So that
right.
has been a decrease,
That's a decrease.
correct,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
All right, good. All right.
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
What's with the increase in health insurance for specialty? Seems like that one nearly doubles, where the rest of them are like raising at what looks like a consistent rate.
What line are we at?
That would be,
Benefits 530501.
yes.
Okay, 50 through 5, got you.
So I can answer a little bit of that. I believe there's an increase in healthcare in general.
Yeah.
But what happened with that one, and I think if you look at the officers, that one also decreased. Because what happens is some of our officers, when they get a specialty, whether it's evidence technician or they become a detective or long, they're moving around. So they may have been an officer, so the number hasn't changed, so we'll use easy numbers. Let's say between specialty and officers, there was 100 officers. For 25, there may have been 50 officers and 50 specialties, but because of some training classes that they've taken, for the specialty, the officers may go down to 40, but now specialty is 60. So it's just a trade-off between officers and specialty.
And the other thing is it's the configuration of coverages too. If you have a roster that has mostly family versus single, it's just a distribution of that as well. And as Commander Fellows had mentioned, with the increase we talked about on Monday, we're projecting for now 21% on the medical.
Healthcare?
Yeah.
Because to that point, Officer Alderman Carmichael, if you take a look at the salary wise for the officers too, because it went down almost 500. So that's ultimately what occurred there.
Okay.
So it's just the offset in the officers. The number didn't change, it's just they go from one category to the next.
Okay, sounds good, thank you.
Do you wanna go back to where you were with the tuition reimbursement and keep going and going through, or what do you wanna do?
So that's tuition reimbursement. General operating,
And that would be on page 2.
so I'm on page 2 now, under the
Okay.
general expenses.
Thank you.
Underneath the tuition reimbursement. As I said, there's just a few small increases. There is a small increase in regards to our training. We do take a very big approach with training, because obviously the more training that the officers have, the better. A little bit of that money for next year as well is, for those of you, we do also have an auxiliary contingent, and what we are also trying to do is to build in a training class for them. We've seen a lot of movement in our auxiliary, a lot of them leaving to take on a full-time police officer employment, so we are having to put on a class next year. So just that small, so part of that is to be able to put on that auxiliary course for next year. Supplies, other general expenses, because like I said, the biggest thing that we're trying to do next year is to really take a look at some of our big expenses, like our social worker program. And we have to cover them now, but what we want to do is to just be more efficient. So right now, what we currently do is under our general, that other general expenses and the professional services there, one of the big vendors of that is our social worker program. So what we're trying to do is we're taking a look at that. We hire 2 full-time, or I should say we have 2 full-time contracted social workers that come in. We're looking at potentially bringing that down to 1 to save some money on that end, but we've also been in contact. Sarah's is now coming into the police department on a weekly basis. We're also in talks with that Rincon Family Services for them to bring a social worker in at least 1 or 2 days a week, so that we're not losing any of our services, but we're trying to be just a little bit more responsible with the monies that the city gives us.
Is the social worker to work like with officers or for the public?
Both, they do both. So when we have major incidents, they can offer services to our officers if they need to talk, but then they do a lot with the citizens as well.
They
So
do a
like
lot
the
of
school
follow-up.
shooting or the,
Correct,
yes.
principal assistant?
Yes. Really the next line items, the building in our fleet. We do spend a lot of money with the building in our fleet. Obviously, most of the building costs that we're seeing with the increase, especially for this year, is the building is a little bit bigger. So some of our operating expenses for the building are increasing, the cleaning, things along that nature. The fleet, what we are trying to do with that is to really modernize the fleet so that eventually these bills can, again, start to reduce. By modernizing the fleet, some of the maintenance those costs can then go down. The equipment, that's just, again, a small increase there. It's just those things that we just don't know that if we need them there. And then finally, capital. Capital is also, I would say, kind of like a work in progress. I am working on a 5 and a 10-year capital plan right now. I am working off an old capital plan that, well, I don't know if it went through or whatever, but one of the major big building projects that we have left is this year we were able to put an RFP out and have the capital funding to replace the aging HVAC system. We're hoping that should be installed in the next 6 to 8 weeks. So then really the only last big capital project that we have for the building is we do need to look at replacing the 2 main boilers that we have. So the capital that, we obviously have a little bit here, I do believe that the capital needed for that project is probably about double that. But the talk is with potentially between the reimbursement that we got from Morton last year and potentially the reimbursement that we'll get from Morton this year for the 3 SROs that are there. We're hoping that some of that money we can get that project done this year. The last big capital project that we also had put in there is to do some upgrades to our police range, but I believe we were able to secure a grant with Senator Cervantes in order to be able to get that project done. From my understanding is, I've been going back and forth, that should become available spring, I believe, of this year. There was a promise, or whatever that the term is, of $200,000 that we can then attack that capital project.
What else you wanna talk about? Do you wanna talk about, departments here, or on wages, or anything?
Like not the civilian, any commentary on our civilian staff,
Yeah.
everything, you know?
No, to the point, like I said, what we're trying to do now is really do more with less, you know what I mean? So that's why there is no ask there for any additional salary, no additional employees. And we are taking on a lot of bigger projects, especially in our parking areas. You know, so there's a lot of technology, you know, we're trying to modernize and bring technology to the depot district with enforcement and even moving on to other parts of the city. But our intention is, as of today, is just to, whatever projects we want to try to accomplish, we're going to do it with the staff that we have. We're not gonna ask for anything more. You know, we spend a little bit of money on augmented IT, but again, those are things that we're gonna look at to try to do with what we have.
And auxiliary hasn't changed, same amount, or?
The auxiliary and really the crossing guards kind of fall into the
Same
same,
category?
kind of the same category.
Okay.
We believe that with our auxiliary, so the biggest thing that we see on our end, on the police department side, is recruitment and retention. So what we do believe, similar with the crossing guards, is we're probably gonna look at paying the crossing guards and the auxiliary a little bit more money, but it's just gonna be incorporated into what we have. The budget for the auxiliary from last year didn't change. It's a set number of $420. And if we do decide to do that, it's us doing a comprehensive look at the hours that they work to make sure that we don't go over that budget.
Right. All right. Monica, anything else we should go over here?
No, I don't think so. We covered, most of it, Michael did. As he stated, they're trying to do more with less. They've cut in different areas, so. The
Yeah,
only
see-
main thing would be, that everybody needs to really remember is the health insurance increase, so.
Right.
And we're hoping that it doesn't come in as high as it is, but we must budget where we are right now.
And that's usually what, around May we find out?
February,
February, okay.
January, February, yeah, we
Okay.
usually see, so. I don't have anything. Anybody have any questions or concerns?
Well, where do the robocalls stand?
So the robocalls, it's a $21,000 expense that we got a few weeks back. I put a request into the ETSB board, they're taking on that role. So the ETSB board is gonna be paying that expense. The only thing that, there has to be a little bit of work done to that, because there might be some more parameters that have to be done in order to get those messages out. But I think what we have to do is really take a look at the data that's in there and make sure that if we're sending out a robocall, it's on the side of those people want to receive non-emergency related messages
Okay.
and not the emergency side of it. So
Right.
that's another project that we kind of have to take a look at.
Two separate avenues that you
Right.
could take. They could have both, or they could have one or the other.
I know, there's confusion on that. Somebody
Sure.
signed up for everything, but they didn't mean to.
Correct. So again, like I said, to do more, that's why we did that request to the ETSB board, and they took that expense from us.
Very good. Great, thank you.
Are there any older vehicles we need to replace this year that we already have in the works, or?
We have a good amount of
I
vehicles.
mean,
and-
some I don't get a lot of miles on them, so,
Correct. It's, replacing vehicles falls within our capital,
right,
so.
so that's already planned.
Well, what we have to take a look at is after, you know what I mean, what capital that we do have, you know, depending on the projects that we're looking at, would we buy cars, would we do the boilers, so I mean,
Right.
it's something we just have to look at,
So
so.
that's just in the capital and, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Seeing how these vehicles go throughout the year and what's going on.
Correct. We could always replace vehicles, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because just the amount that we do have, you know, 3 or 4 a year, so. The new capital plan will outline car vehicle purchase in the capital every year, But right now with what we have, we just have to take a look at the capital we have, and if we have the room there, fine that way.
Okay.
Do you have anything, Ben?
I have nothing else on my end.
So our biggest end is the healthcare is what, and it's unknown at this time what,
Correct.
where we're going with that. That number could go up, could go down.
We hope that we have it to where we're gonna be in the, not up, that would be.
You projected a good number,
Yes,
correct?
Yeah,
compared to
pretty
last year.
conservative,
So we're hoping
percentage.
it's coming.
We hope it comes in lower,
Right.
yes.
Joe, you have any questions or?
I got nothing, no.
No, Richard?
No, my questions are answered, thank you.
Okay. So overall, I think, I think they're staying within a, decent area here that, we'll be able to work with in 2026 here. They've cut some areas and made some, good decisions, so. Anybody else? No? Guys, anything else you wanna offer? Okay. All right. Thank you for coming tonight, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll carry on with our meeting, you guys are set. Any new business we need to take care of, or
No.
not at this time?
No.
Okay. A reminder, we have a meeting on November 4th. That'll be the Public
Public
Works
Works.
and IT, right?
We're confirming
Okay.
IT, but definitely public works.
So we'll have those two on the 4th at 6 PM also. So if we don't have any other business, I'll ask to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn?
Second, Richard. Second by Carmichael. Thank you. And thank you, everybody, for attending tonight.
Thank you.
This is coming up to
Yes, I think we should.
you. Yeah,
I get the key.
That you could keep.
I don't want it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Recycle it.
Thank you for
All right.
the bag.
Oh, you're welcome. Hey, Gavin? How are you?
Good, how are you?
I see you in the field every time.
I really think that at the next meeting, I'm gonna go there, when you still think it's on the minutes, you have to say that something like that Robert Ray should be off of the bank account and it should be on. Because I talked to.
All good.
Oh, so, you gotta see what's like.
Just trick or treating, figuring out where.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
he's like,
Whatever remainder is, if you guys used anything for it.
costume change, you know, once a week.